Mr. Biden, is he Michael tonight?
Mr. Trump, who do you have with you today?
Is there anything he could say that could put you in jeopardy?
So thank you very much. Greatly appreciate you being here. The New York Times just came out with a poll that shows us leading everywhere by a lot. This is the cover story, and I think you'll find it very interesting, but I'm sure you've all read it. Leading in Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Arizona, Michigan, Georgia, and Nevada. Nevada, we are leading actually by 12 points, which is generally a Democrat state. I think we're probably leading in New Jersey. We had a rally, over 100,000 people this weekend. A lot of the mainstream media didn't want to say how many people, they didn't want to cover. But in fact, I don't think anybody did. I hear the crowd was not shown by the mainstream media, which is what they tell me, but that's par for the course. A couple of quotes that just came out. Fareed Zakaria, no friend of mine. The Trump trial is politically motivated. I doubt the New York indictment would have been brought against a defendant whose name was not Donald Trump. Mark Levin, great guy, brilliant man. Our judicial system has blown up, it's broken. Andrew McCarthy. Trump should be acquitted in Manhattan, wholly independent of the plethora of constitutional infirmities in the prosecution. It should be thrown out for the most basic of reasons. Bragg cannot prove his case. Got no evidence. And I'm innocent. This is a political witch hunt, and nobody's ever seen anything like it. And it's, I tell you what, the appellate division on the judges should step in, because what this judge is getting away with is disgraceful, including the fact that we have thousands of people, we had 100,000 people in New Jersey. They would like to show their support. It's like an armed camp outside. You can't get one person within 3 blocks of this courthouse. Greg Jarrett, we're not, I mean, you take a look at this statement. We're entering the 4th week, and there's still no evidence whatsoever connecting Trump with any criminal wrongdoing. A crime that's not charged, it's a crime that, in which prosecutors won't even tell the defendant what it is. I have no idea what they're even doing. We have records, and they talk about bookkeeping. The only thing down in the bookkeeping is that we call a legal expense a legal expense. We don't call it a construction expense. We don't say for concrete work. We don't say for electrical work. We pay the lawyer a legal expense. And we have a legal expense is a legal expense. It's marked down in the book, quote, legal expense. It's perfectly marked down. The other side doesn't know how to handle it, but they say, let's indict him anyway, because that's what Biden, this all comes from Biden in the White House, by the way. And they have their top people here. Because he can't, when he can't put 2 sentences together, he's the worst president in the history of our country. Can't speak, can't walk off a helicopter, can't walk off a plane, can't walk off a stage. And the only way they think they can win is if they can do something with Trump. Because we have an incompetent, the worst president in the history of the United States of America. Jonathan Turley, after Bragg closes the prosecution's case, the defense will make a standard motion for dismissal. Mershon, who is so corrupt and so conflicted, like no judge has ever been. And the press doesn't want to write about it, but you know exactly what we're saying. Mershon should grant that motion for dismissal. There's been no showing of a crime. They failed to protect the rights of the defendant from a baseless, politically motivated prosecution. That's Jonathan Turley. All very talented legal experts. But the big thing today seems to be the Times. I'm sure the Times is thrilled, but I respect them for at least letting it come out. And there it is. It's Trump leading by a lot in every state. Every swing state leading by a lot. This trial is rigged. It's dishonest. It's a disgrace to New York. It's a disgrace to the country. I should be out campaigning now instead of sitting in a very cold courthouse all day long. This is a Biden prosecution. It's election interference at a level that nobody in this country has ever seen before. This is for third world countries. not for the USA. Thank you very much.
Mr. Trump, who's with you in the courtroom today?
Well, there you have it. Former President Donald Trump describing the judge presiding over this trial as so corrupt and so conflicted, claiming the trial is rigged, claiming it's a disgrace, and also complaining about the temperature in the courtroom, saying it's cold and he has to sit there all day. Let's bring in our US correspondent, James Matthews, who was listening in to some of that. And James, look, he started off with his printout there from the New York Times talking about his polling, but quickly turns to his favourite topic of discussion, how everyone is out to get him and how it's a political witch hunt. He was charged with violating the gag order just last week and had to pay some $10,000 for the 10 occasions he did it. But he just called the judge corrupt and conflicted. I wonder how that would stand against those orders.
Well, it won't go down well with the judge, one assumes, Kamali, but the gag order is focused on witnesses and jurors. So I think to that extent he's dancing around the instruction. The big question was, of course, would he have a go at Michael Cohen, the man who's going to give evidence today? He steered clear of that. So perhaps the judge's warning, very clear warning, about the potential of being put in jail behind bars should there be any further breach of the gag order. Perhaps that's having an effect. Interesting, Trump, he's clearly heartened by this poll in the New York Times, despite all of this and despite all the questions about the impact of the court case and the court cases. He appears to be ahead, according to this New York Times poll, ahead in 5 battleground states, clearly heartened by that. I think something else there is that we had a sense of Donald Trump's defense in all of this. You know, it's all about legal expenses put through the books as legal expenses. The prosecution are saying that was a cover for the payment to Cohen for the hush money, and thereby, you know, that was election interference. What he's saying is, look, no, it wasn't. It wasn't interference. It wasn't hush money. It was merely a legitimate legal expense to my lawyer.